To answer your question, no, I did not have lunch. I haven't even eaten lunch yet. Can you guys hear me okay? Sounds like audio's going through. I'm not wearing headphones right now. I'm winging it. We're winging it, boy. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I fixed the reverb. It just was playing in a different channel, but that should be fixed too. We out here. We're doing something, dude. Doing something. Good to see you guys. Thank you for being there for the premiere. This is now the second video we've been able to do for early access into Cities Skylines 2, which is pretty exciting. Welcome in. Guys, I'm here for a little bit just to talk about any crazy questions y'all might have about Cities 2. I'm gonna pull up the video. We can skim through that to prompt questions or whatever, and we just gonna be chatting for just a bit, for just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Kind of looking. I'm trying to nail down these YouTube settings, but obviously, if you didn't catch the video, there's a lot there. If you did catch the video, you are aware that there's a lot there. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get a chance to cover very thoroughly, at least. There is a whole list of videos that you guys can check out. Like a whole playlist of videos from tons of creators. So there's a ton of coverage out there that is that can get you caught up on some of the stuff maybe I didn't get to, because I'm sure people like handled it differently or went into different stuff. Huge. But I do think for the most part that it did a pretty good job covering stuff. So having a lot of questions. What's your most liked building asset you discovered? Okay, I don't know if it's like my favorite looking building, Peter, but I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong, it looks good. But one that surprised me that I just hadn't really dug into yet was that building I placed like in the middle of the video, or like 2/3 through the video, that was a mixed use signature building. So it looked like the row housing, like a mixed use, like 3 to 4 stories high. I can pull it up, hold on. That was actually really cool. I just didn't think about it. I didn't think that the signature, it was there. I probably looked at it and I was like, neat, and then I went off and did other stuff. And then I came back and I'm like, oh, like some of these buildings have like a different purpose. They're not all just like a residential signature building. Let me see if I can find it in the footage here. Oh yeah, here it is. It's this. So this right here, new signature building. It's the Iron Press building. And it has like benefits to like different benefits than the residential ones I placed. Of course, it's not going to show me. I know I hovered over it for a second. I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to this. This is a mixed use signature building. Mute. So not only is it, don't mute. That's fine. There you go. So something that I try to talk about is that some of these signature buildings, again, have different purposes. This is one of them. Attractiveness citywide, and then well-being. So most of the stuff that I placed did well-being, but this one has like a different factor. So I thought that was pretty cool, Peter. So that means like your signature buildings that you place are just going to have added value when you're placing them. Like they actually have like more of a purpose than just being like a tourist attraction. So I think that's kind of neat, but thank you for the compliment on the video. I appreciate it. It's cool to see everyone's. It is Natalie. It's also kind of stressful. It's kind of stressful. Are you excited for release? I am excited for release. Yeah, I'm pretty amped. Like the only tough part is like I haven't built like a full city yet. Like I haven't gone all the way through the progression system. There's a lot of milestones. So there's still a lot of stuff that I haven't even touched. Like I haven't made skyscrapers in a city yet. Part of that is so that I can still be excited when I make the video and have stuff like that I know I need to talk about. But now I'm at that point where probably, off camera this week and next week or this upcoming week and stuff like that, I'm going to be working to experiment and see where the game kind of goes after what you've seen in the video. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Ryan, I can post the link. Hold on. It just I guess is old. Please hold. Thank you for letting me know. We must have switched them out at some point. I don't do enough YouTube streams, so I haven't checked. had time to watch everyone, but the ones you've heck a lot of progress showed. Yeah, Natalie, it has been, we've all, like, the creators have all talked about it. It's tough because there's a lot of stuff that you want to cover, and it's been tough to keep up with. There you go. You have your role, so now you can see some channels. I think I'm going to be reworking the Cities Skylines section here shortly to be a little bit more interesting, so bear with me on that. I'm trying to think. It's been tough because, Natalie, there's a lot of stuff I cut out, and a lot of it was just zoning, thankfully, but there's a lot of stuff that I was like, okay, I got to focus on these big milestones. I got to focus on the buildings that come with some of these milestones, some of the dev points I'm spending, and those things, because I feel like that's more valuable than just showing me zone constantly and on sort of repeat. So yeah, it happens. It happens, Waffle. It's like, it's super overcast here today, actually. So there's that. I will say this, I'll just kind of skim through this. This is my favorite shot from these early cinematics, by the way. I just love how this is starting to look, except for the end where there's nothing currently. I think next episode I'm going to build a little bit more over here and start working with bridges and see how kind of that blends in. The whole expansion here was kind of like daunting. I really wasn't sure how this was all going to work out. I've noticed in Cities 2, a lot of the rolling hills and stuff like that just seem so significant. It's been kind of hard to keep, like, it's been hard to figure out how to go about moving through all of this like massive feeling map. Do you run into crippling service issues in the way you did with CS1 corp cities due to no death care? I have not yet. As of yet, I have not run into that. The one thing that I have run into that I talk a little bit about in the video, because I haven't figured out like what's causing it, is kind of like really drastic shifts in demand for zones, specifically between like residential and every other residential. So I'll have like a decent amount of demand for medium density, and I'll be filling that, and all of a sudden it's like all they want is low density, like infinity. And I don't know what I'm doing to prompt that. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I don't know if it has to do with jobs. I don't know if it has to do with wealth or education. I haven't quite, I'm still trying to figure that out, but that's nothing like what you're talking about. I've had it happen twice now in this city, where after the first video, I noticed that it shifted all towards, very heavily in favor of low density. And I don't know really what I did to prompt it to go in the direction of bringing medium density back. So I'm still trying to figure some of that out. But no, I haven't had any crazy death waves. I've had folks complain about death, but they seem to be reacting to the amount of car wrecks. They'll talk a lot about oh man, there's one other thing that they like in the chirper feed. What is it? They talk a lot about healthcare, but I haven't seen an issue with like a mass death wave, you know? And again, the city's only 10K population, so it could be something that happens later. We'll see. It seems to be very easy with roads and create natural looking road system. Have you experienced any heavy usage or flow issues? So yeah, Peter, there's been some instances where I do, like when I do like big chunks of zoning, especially like medium and stuff like that, that there were instances of like a decent amount of volume of traffic coming in at one time. I noticed that, I don't know if I have a view of it. I'll show you guys something that I noticed that I did that I had to fix off cam. Just because there wasn't a point in me going back and showing how I fix this. Oh, I'm not gonna, where is it? It's when I put the highway in, when I move the highway system. Is it back here? Okay. So do you see this right here? I didn't do this very well. I wasn't paying attention. So that like entrance and on, or sorry, that, what do you call that? That like ramp, that lane change thing right there was clogging up traffic. This whole thing was clogging up traffic. And what I noticed is it was just like, it was stacking. And a lot of it, I think, was from me zoning so much that it stacked up, and they were just having trouble figuring out lane switches. So I ended up actually changing like this portion to a 3-lane, so it kind of extended the length of those lane changes, and that fixed that issue. The only other area I've seen like a lot of congestion were in certain areas of downtown. This is still early for it, but yeah, we're only half the population we get up to. But in these areas, I started to see some congestion actually happening on these like 2-lane roads, which in retrospect should probably have been, you know, a couple more lanes probably for how much I'm going to be adding to it. I don't know if I show. There was like a brief shot I had at one point. It wasn't very good, where you could see like it was like right in here. You could see traffic stacking, and you can kind of see the amount of cars is greater than what it was in the first video. So it is scaling up. This isn't playing back very well for whatever reason. Oh, show it to me. The only dude, I feel like so many people park on the road. I feel like there's just so many cars on the road. I don't know if I need to add more parking or what, but man. So sometimes I'm looking at stills and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all the people. So like even here, you can see like there's a decent amount of release at this traffic light of cars. I know it's not in the colors that we, you know, there we go. And of course, camera's moving again. You can see that there's more traffic here. It's not like dense traffic, but compared to where like the first video was in some situations, like I would sit there and wait on a car. You know what I mean? And now there's cars pretty prominently through the downtown area. Through the suburb style area, not a lot. But I think it's getting better. And like I said in the video, it may be something that where we sometimes look at Cities 1 in terms of traffic, when you have so many people, I'm wondering if it's like Cities 2 is just scaled so differently that it takes more population to see some of the backed up traffic everyone's like looking forward to. You need to unlock underground parking, make money. Yeah, so I did put a policy in for the downtown area to have paid parking. But as you can see, like I didn't run into really any money issues. The only time you might have noticed money issues is at the very end of the video. I think after I put the hospital, it was significantly eating up into my funds, like big time. So yeah, I think the financial woes you may face are really going to be reliant on like what services you're putting down and how quickly you put those services down. But I do think they are something that isn't crazy to counter. Hi, Ninja Mittens. How are you? Let's go back to here. So this is where we rezone a bunch of stuff. Wait, let me back up. So yeah, you guys probably saw we got contour lines added in, which are super helpful. I found terraforming to be much more of a pleasant experience this go around than last go around. Actually in the office for the first time. Nice, Ninja, I guess, unless you wanted to be home. There's some houses here that are asking for pedestrian access, and I think some of that's just a bug that has been remedied because I think it was between the last video and this video. There was just an issue where they had to put out an update for something, and so some of the houses were reacting and you just had to clear the house and it let it rebuild, but that's fixed. Hey Ricky, how are you, dude? So that's why you see me just clearing these, because that's just to fix that. But I'm also talking about the bulldozer tool because I'm still trying to get accustomed to how that operates. You can also see too, a lot of these houses since the first video have started upgrading. They're getting bigger. They're no longer like little mini houses. Have they put out a ton? I don't know how much I can talk about it, but there are updates. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, Natalie, but there have been updates. I mean, obviously we got contour lines, right? That came in an update. And there's some. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens over the next several weeks. I can tell you it's not been one update. So there's been a few things, which is nice. And I know that there's still stuff they're working on, as you'd expect, which is good to know. And I mean, of course, like one thing you got to keep in mind too is I think that some folks are, whether positive or negative, are having reactions to various things about the game. You know, like a lot of folks complained, not complained, but brought up, let's be honest, there were some complaints that in my first thumbnail that some of the buildings, it was daytime, and that some of the buildings like had their lights on inside. No one's complaining now because it's not there. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but if you look at the city, there's no lights on inside in the windows. People were like saying all the buildings look like they're on fire. It's like, just hold on, man. So yeah, I like to create strong suburbia, low density, avoiding high density in very specific areas. Looks like the larger map. Dude, Oxy, I don't feel very limited in terms of scale here. Like I said, the demand meter kind of shifted really and you know, pretty heavily as I was expanding. Let me see if I can find a decent shot of it here into this area. So you can see I'm setting up a suburb out here, right? And if you go down and you look at how high my demand meter is. You can see it right under my camera. See how high that green bar is? That's for low density. My only concern is that, like, I don't know what I'm doing that's like making it go so hardcore at low density. So I've got to figure that out. But it could just be a balancing thing. But the only thing is that as soon as I place the zone, man, they're moving in. Like folks are moving in. It's very reactive to what you're doing. Maybe it's the addition of the school. Maybe, I don't know. Big families, like, it could be. I need to go look. Two of the stats that I've seen most commonly represented in the game have been wealth and education level, but I haven't found the tendencies. And some of that's just because I'm like building and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not paying enough attention to some of that stuff. But that could be a good point, Mittens. It did seem like more of the wealth was downtown, which makes sense. So maybe it is that, but then it's like, okay, how do I get people? This isn't limited to a district in terms of being a service. So I'm trying to figure out how do I get people to be downtown? Because this isn't ultimately that far. You know, I was wondering too, if it has to do with where the bus stops are. Like, do they not feel a need to live in town because there's bus stops and there's some transportation, but I don't know. They mentioned that a couple times that families prefer low density. Yeah. So I feel like, okay, that makes sense, but then that implies that like people aren't moving to the city for other things like jobs, which is something that they're supposed to pursue. And I've had plenty of jobs. I mean, the demand for industrial in this image is like a quarter, like one quarter of the bar. So, Oxy, I don't think you'll have a problem with expanding and making suburbia. I mean, you can see this is pretty much, I unlocked a little bit more up here later in the video. I unlocked like these tiles, but like, look at how much room, dude. You have so much space. And like, we're only really building to like in here, right? In that area. Because I moved the highway down to here to accommodate more space here. I think you're gonna have plenty of room to do your suburbia. I need to get better at a couple things with it though. I have to get better at blending areas together. I feel like I'm creating like weird separations between certain kind of like, I don't want to say districts, but parts of town, even like, I don't know what the word is, but I'm trying to find that good feeling of like when I'm starting to create the city that everything feels a little bit more connected. And right now it feels like some things feel a little more isolated. So I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to master that from a building perspective. I need to make sure I put. Let's go back to, I forgot where I left off, so I'll just find a spot here. I know somebody mentioned the roads. The roads have been really easy. Like, they're very intuitive, but they also take just some time to master when you're kind of doing freehand stuff. When you're blending in with stuff you've already built, it just seems like a piece of cake, which is pretty nice. Sometimes you have to watch like connection points and make sure that they're even or they feel right to you, but I've been pretty pleased with like what I've seen in terms of different, like, in terms of like overlapping roads, how you can draw a road out on top of another road and it just sort of combines for you. Like, that stuff has been really cool. I've been pretty pleased with like the functionality there. I thought that might be like a buggy area and it hasn't been. So yeah, we got office zones, which are cool. I like the buildings with offices. I also like as they start to develop. Do you feel like there are roads that are missing? Not as of yet. It's just listed differently. You know, like I would say industrial roads would be a cool thing to have. I don't think there's an industrial road in this yet that I know of. So like all your roads are just listed differently. So like for instance, here are large roads, right? And then if you go to this tab here, you're gonna get roads with grass, roads with bigger sidewalks, roads with trees, all added in here, and then roads with like sound barriers. I do wish I could add retaining walls manually. That is something, but that's not really a road thing. So I think the UI for the most part is just polished up, and there's not as many, like when you open up a road, like, okay, that's what I can use. Maybe some asymmetrical stuff. I feel like there is some stuff that you can use in here that is asymmetrical, but yeah, that would be the only thing is maybe some industrial and some asymmetrical maybe. But I feel like there's one or two options for asymmetrical. I'd have to go back and look. I do like when offices level up. I think those buildings look really good. I'm glad those are kind of not like, you don't put an office down and get a skyscraper. You have options for your office zones, which is cool. You can see the taxation's broken down vastly different in this one. We've got a ton of different options across all of this, and you see how it's broken down. This is kind of what I mean by some of the options feel geared towards education level, which is an adjustment. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting way to label it, or to kind of break it down. I don't know. It seems like they have toned down the wear lines on the roads. Yeah, I don't know. People were saying that in some of my screens, I guess. I don't know. It hasn't really, that's never been something that's bothered me like a lot, you know what I mean? That's not been something that I've been very hung up on, primarily because I feel like at some point like there would be additional textures added, like I would hope at least, you know, because that's something that I always go to. Like I rarely use just vanilla roads and cities. I add in, I go to the, you know, workshop, or I use industrial roads, or I try to find other textures to add in via theme mixer. I don't know if that stuff is coming in this game, but I hope that those are options down the road. But that's never been like that bothersome to me. But a lot of people have said that they don't appear as noticeable. I mean, there's your pretty good look, a close-up look at the texture if you're like worried about it. Let's see, what else do we get into here? So one thing I didn't cover that I mentioned in the game, but I didn't actually like really discuss very much, is the low income housing. I put a couple of these up here, and they kind of, I think there may be a balancing issue here that they might have to work on. I'm not really sure. I can't find where to put the low income housing at. They tend to like, I've been kind of letting them sit, and I didn't really know what to feature because it's like they were going abandoned and then they would get torn down and they'd be rebuilt based on demand a little bit too quickly. So I'm hoping that that's something that just needs to get worked out. Is there medium low density low income housing? There's just one density that I can remember. There's one density. I'd have to go back and check, Ninja, but I believe there's just one. You might see it in here. So I want to say that's like taller buildings. There's your mixed use. There's your low income. So there are some there. I think depending on the zone size, that's another way you might be able to control what assets you get. It's just by zone size. So you may be able to play with like how tall some of those buildings are based on what you're zoning or how much you're zoning it. I just did like a block here. Yeah. Rural areas get no low income housing. Yeah, it doesn't seem so. But I feel like your residential could potentially, your low density residential could end up, you know, being fine for that to some degree, unless it just keeps leveling up and you get bigger houses maybe. We put in a post office. Here's some of your demand information, which I thought was kind of cool. This isn't something I really showed off in the last video because I didn't really think it made sense until we got a little bit further along. I wish they gave more detail on some of these in terms of what people might be looking for, where people are going to go. Maybe that's something to be added. Milestones are a little bit further apart, obviously, because you have to have more XP. So like the progression in this video was much slower on a video like recording side, because I was sitting there having to go and like try to build up. So we had to do those expansions, keep growing the population, all that stuff, in order to hit all our milestones. So that took a little bit longer. It was a harder video to edit because of that. Really like the district creation tool. This was super easy. I like being able to align it on roads, instead of just kind of like painting an area that also had like a magnetic touch to it, which was kind of strange in retrospect, because you couldn't make it as because you couldn't get it like to be what do you call it, as clean as it appears to be in this. So that's nice. I'm still loving development points. I could totally see myself also playing with everything unlocked at some point just to try that out. Parking lots are cool. I need to unlock the underground ones. We added a few of those to the city. People seem to be excited about them. I feel like we need a ton of parking lots because like we have so many cars on the road. There's so many cars parked on the road. The way you get rid of cars parked on the road, though, is to, you know, widen your sidewalks, add trees, add grass, and it'll kind of like fix that issue. If you add bus stops and stuff, it'll fix the issue. Kind of neat. Yeah, Ninja, keep in mind, this is what I've been talking about kind of off and on before you got in here, is that we're at 5.2K. So it's not a ton of people living in the city. It's a lot of cars parked. It gets a little bit more dense once we get closer to 10K, but I'm wondering if the scaling is just different in terms of how it operates. I feel like you're making too much money in the game. It seems like you're kind of, it did feel easy in this, and I think the only time, where am I here? I'm at 11:59. Okay, but if you look, I put down the hospital and I'm in the negative. I know you can't really see that very well. So there are ways to mess this up for yourself. I mean, I legit think I put in the hospital and I was at a negative. I don't know that I added anything like off cam here except the hospital itself. So you can make it difficult. Ricky, I feel like it is easier, but I feel like, I mentioned this in the video, there's some stuff that just costs more and has service fees that are pretty high. So I think that's what you're gonna have to counter a lot of. I felt, you know, I didn't play it. I never played a ton of Vanilla Cities 1. I was always someone that wanted to do detailing and more, you know, plopping and stuff like that. And I felt like Cities 1 very much relied on like a population base, you know. Every time you hit a milestone, you're gonna get money in this, and there's a lot of milestones, so I feel like that kind of keeps you afloat. Like there's a little bit easier learning curve there to being able to like just go. But I do feel like, you know, 12,000 an hour, 15,000, 20,000 an hour doesn't sound bad, you know, after, let's say you're playing it for 6 hours, you know, that doesn't sound like a bad deal, but you can always just throw in stuff and mess it up. Yeah, but Ninja, like, again, something I brought up is like, don't look at this as this is meant to be Cities 1 continued. I'm bummed that there are certain things that are in those, you know, that I'm not going to have, you know, like Park Life would be cool. Some of the props and stuff like that you have in Park Life would be cool. But ultimately, like, it's such a different setup that, sure, there's a bummer that you're gonna have to get DLCs, but also this is just so vastly different in terms of how it operates, the complexity behind it, and I think it lends itself to being a very strong platform. So hey there, Fredly. You know, the one thing I'm curious is if they're gonna bring back, either I haven't gotten to it or it's something maybe they could bring back, is how you build airports in Cities 1, like with airport DLC, some of that functionality of like network buildings. I'd be curious to see if that comes back, but I haven't seen it. So we put in bus stops. You can see it changes the lane here. It adds in that little expansion point for the buses to kind of park on, which is pretty cool. You can see that like when you're hovering the bus stop over the road, it tells you, it gives you a preview of what that looks like. It also puts the sheltered bus stop in place. So I hope the modules are a lot more into what modules, Fredley. We put a bunch of bus stops and we did our taxi stops. Again, this is probably one of the more exciting moments in terms of what I've seen. I was really, really happy to see that they have like signature buildings that apply to different, you know, zoning types and stuff. Plop that down with the row housing because that's where I feel like it fits. I think it all fits. Bradley, I don't have any issue with it. Like, it all kind of makes sense to me. There's some, I would think the one thing that might throw people off is some of the pieces you're going to put down with your buildings that are modular go on the property that you've already put down, and some you need more property. So like y'all saw the stadium I had down for the high school, right? Oh, let me find that image. So like this is the high school right now. Just this. So if you pop down the high school, you're gonna get that building. That's the stadium. The stadium doesn't go on the same property as the high school. There are upgrades to the high school that go on the property of the high school. Like, you know, oh, we can make more classrooms. So it's going to expand the building on the property originally placed. But you're going to have some of these assets that don't fit on the property. So you have to accommodate that somehow. So on some like front, I think there's going to be people that are going to enjoy kind of creating, kind of saying, oh, our city is evolving and we got to add these things. You know what I mean? You got to do X, Y, or Z to make room for stuff. Like there's progress that can happen. The only restriction is that it has to be pretty much adjacent to the building. So I think there's a cool aspect of it where you're going to have those opportunities of like, our city is growing. And I talked some in the first video about like the city feels a little bit more alive. And I think that's where you're going to see it, is you're going to see like a lifespan, because if you put some of these buildings down, put residential here, and it's like, oh, you know what? This school needs a stadium, which is going to add benefits to the area, because I think it does do attractiveness or well-being in the area is boosted. Oh, then I need to go and like clear out some houses. Like you have to make that call, clear out these houses, you know, the high school bottom, and then put in the stadium. So there's some fun stuff like that I think people are going to be able to do, that I don't know if everyone's talked about. You're doing fine, Brad. Hey, Moondoggy, how are you? Brad, how's it going? But yeah, I think there's a real progression to some of these things with that. I mean, like we saw, I'll talk about the train station again in a minute. The train station has some cool modular aspects to it. But I feel like it's pretty intuitive. It's just like knowing, hey, does this get connected? Does this have to be on the property, or is it like adjacent to the property? What do I need to do to accommodate the space? You know? Hi, Crosslight. How are you? What else did we do here? That's our buses we just looked at. You plan on making so Fredley, my hope is that the next video, I'm hoping we get more time to cover it, and then I can go like further in terms of the city, because the idea here is that I'm going to keep upgrading a lot of this property to be like higher density zoning, or to be bigger buildings, or you know, whatever the opportunity is to make them to make everything larger. And I'm going to kind of go that route, if that makes sense. That's like, I'm trying to do it as organically as possible, but the idea is to continue developing this and growing it, not only in terms of the land usage, but also in terms of the downtown just kind of evolving. That's the projection I see, is just to continue evolving downtown. Take care, Ninja. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Because you can see, like, at the end of the video, there's still gaps, so I got to go figure out how to fill up some of that. Let's talk a little bit about trains. Oh wait, first parks. Parks seem pretty straightforward. Haven't unlocked all the parks. There's a couple. I mean, you can see there's 5 different tabs here. Haven't unlocked them all. You have to unlock them via development points, which you get for milestones. I put in a couple so that I think they were at least talked about. I really haven't messed with pedestrian pathing either. I have a feeling I'm going to end up doing a lot of my own park areas somehow. I do hope that they add, I don't know if it's in there actually, some sort of district for parks. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if it's in there right now. So this is your train depot. This is not a train station. This is the depot you have to place to unlock all the other trains. Can you talk about modding at all? I can't, Ricky. No, I don't have any info to even give you. I think they talked about it a little bit, but there's been nothing shared in terms of what that looks like. I don't have any access to anything. If that makes sense, like it's very much I don't have any access to anything like mod related right now. It's not to say it won't be there, because like they think they even mentioned on Twitter that like it's something about it existing, but there's just been no updates in terms of when that's going to be something that we're going to utilize or be able to talk about yet. So does that make sense, Ricky? There is a dog park. I put a couple in town, Natalie, just for you. I don't know if I like highlighted it, Nat, but there's like 1 or 2 in town. So Ricky, I think it's just a like hang on a little bit longer and we'll see, you know. TBD. So this is the train depot. This unlocks your stations. You get a cargo station, passenger station, you get your rails. Cities 1 didn't have a cargo like line that you had to put in, right? This actually has a cargo line you have to put in, which makes me wonder if you can start creating lines between different cargo stations if your city gets big enough. Which is kind of crazy. So you may have, it's probably the few minutes work bug. No, you're good, Natalie. I don't think I really featured it. I think I know I put one in. I can't remember if I did it off camera or not when I was like doing a screenshot or something. I don't know. Creating this video has turned into a little bit of a blur. I had to do it pretty quickly, and there was a lot to do. So this I thought is cool because a lot of times if you guys, you know, if you played Cities 1 and you wanted a train depot, you often had to build a train depot, like either with assets from the workshop, or you had to kind of make this building a little bit more by hand. So it's kind of cool that it exists. And in base game, the rail lines, like I said, felt a little more rigid, but they look pretty good, I guess. I mean, they're clean. Trains look really nice, especially like with the light hits them right. They look really good. What kind of cities? I like doing more aesthetic building friendly. So I typically run mods. I typically have a bunch of assets. If you watch my build and learn series on the channel, you'll get a pretty good idea of what I like to do. I mean, even if you watch some of the 5B1C videos I've been a part of, like there's a pretty consistent style there, I think, for what I like to create. Thank you, Nat. This is the passenger station. We've already made our line, so you can see it tells you where the train is on the line. You can also apply a parking fee, which I thought was really cool. There's also modular buildings, and if you missed it in the video, the one that's locked here that I hovered over is actually to create a subway. I think a subway stop here with the passenger station. Yeah, yes, Fredley, yes. I don't always worry about functionality as much as I like creating the aesthetic, but a lot of my cities are functional, especially like Industries DLC. That helped. There's plenty of stuff that helped that, but there's functional aspects, but I don't worry about like money, for example. Like I might play sandbox mode, but still build everything and it still operates. So I thought these upgrades to the passenger station was pretty cool. This last one actually adds like commercial space to your train station, which is neat. So I think, like, again, that modular building part to Cities 2 is going to be kind of wild. I think you're just gonna have so much stuff that you can do. Yeah, we also did the cargo station. This was actually something I added to the video kind of late, like as in I did it yesterday, because I was like, I cut out some stuff. I have more time. You know, in Anno games, not really. I have Friendly, but they've never been able to like kind of keep me like my attention. They're neat. I don't have any issue with them. Very different, obviously. I played one of them for a while and then it's kind of done. I don't know, didn't really end up going back. This is the cargo station, which looks pretty cool. Again, I love the fact that these buildings aren't like 4x6 or whatever. They're huge. They're massive buildings, which feel a lot better than what, you know, sometimes you had in Cities 1, which is great. And then I really need to like work on our industrial area in the city because it feels very kind of bare bones and simple, but I wasn't as worried about it because I was more so worried about getting all these other things. And even my train lines look kind of goofy. Maybe I'll spend some time off stream or off cam just trying to upgrade some stuff so the city actually looks like I have experience in making something, because I do feel like some of the other builders have done a really good job. And maybe it's because I don't know if they all rely on assets, you know, or whatever, but with it being vanilla, like I'm having to rely so much on things like, oh, what is gonna pop up in this zone? Is it gonna look like it's supposed to look? We'll see. But I really thought it was cool that I was like, dude, when I opened up trams, I was like, how do I place the trams down, like the lines in the road? And it's actually just an upgrade to the road. So much how you'd add trees or grass to a road, you do the same thing with tram lines. So you don't have like extra roads or specific roads you have to place down that accommodate the train. You just upgrade the road to have tram lines on the road. I thought that was really cool. So I did like double tracks outside of the station, or the depot rather, and you just hover over, highlight, and there, bam, you've got tram lines added. And you can, like, if you zoom in on them, you can see them. Hopefully I zoom in on them a little bit more. I can't remember. Yeah, you can see it there, the preview of where it's going to be. So if you want it on certain sides of the road or whatever, and then when you put the station down, it's also going to give you more space for that, which is pretty cool. Like it's going to give you, like, if you put a station down, sort similar to like the bus stops, you get like a little bit more, you get like a lane almost dedicated to the stop itself, which is neat. So I just made a loop just to show off the tram lines. Kind of excited about maybe expanding that though. I just like, it just feels very easy to do, and it looks pretty clean. That is one thing I feel like they've stressed a lot of, is like kind of decluttering and making everything look very clean and nice. The only time I feel like maybe I wish they would have adjusted AI is just stop parking on the street all the time. But I don't know where else they're supposed to park, so it's fine. Whatever. And like all the systems tend to work very close together. Like everything, there's like a little bit of redundancy in how things work. So once you learn how to do like this, like you'll know how to do the next thing, you know, like train, okay, put in the depot, put in the line or the stops, then put in the line, you know, blah blah blah. Like it feels you start to become familiar with the process that you have to follow, which is nice. And boom, as soon as you put it down, you got your stuff coming out of the depot. That seems to be a reoccurring theme though. Every time I placed the depot down, did the line, I looked up and I look at the depot and it's like, oh, there's the vehicle. Let me see here. Are European? I'm North American. Everything in the city right now is North American. It's all, at least it's supposed to be. Yeah, I have it set to the North American theme. I heard that like a lot of folks focused on the North American theme for whatever reason. Let me see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to pull something up. This is the hospital. What's cool about this, and you guys probably heard about this from some of the dev diary stuff, is now you can select districts that certain services operate within. So if you want the hospital, like people in this district specifically just to go to that hospital, you can set that district and you can like tie it in with the hospital. So you may have multiple hospitals across your city accommodating specific areas. So I guess that's going to lower the probability that you're going to have like an ambulance driving from downtown to the suburb to pick somebody up, which is kind of neat. And you can see as soon as I place this down, like my income disappeared because of the fees. So, oh, Fredley, you don't have to type. It's okay. It's all right, man. Don't worry. Don't feel obligated. It's all good. I started talking about my like thoughts on the game here. I didn't really go into, I've talked a little bit about this in the first video, these like specialized service areas. I'm still on the fence about these. I kind of wish they had a little bit more detail added to them, in the sense of like, I wish I could control building placement as some of the growables appear in here. So how often, which days are you on Twitch? Right now I'm on Tuesday nights, Thursday mornings, and Sunday mornings. So that's like at 11 a.m. ET on Thursdays and Sundays, which are days we will sometimes dabble in cities. We more than often we dabble in cities on those 2 days. Tuesday nights I usually play something else. We've been playing a little bit of House Flipper though, you know, just because I haven't played House Flipper before and there's a new one coming out, so we've been flipping some houses. I bounce around a little bit, Ricky, but those are the days I typically play City Skylines. Box stop. David, that's kind of what it feels like, right? I feel like I'm gonna need a lot to counter how many people are in like actually parking there. Thank you, Ricky. But yeah, I do all my live streams over on Twitch just because that's where I started creating content. I've been doing the live streams on YouTube like with the with these videos because I feel like it's helpful for folks if you guys want to ask questions. So we're gonna have another video that's gonna actually come out that's early access, so we'll dive deeper in the city building. I don't have a date for that yet, but if you guys are looking forward to it and you come back, you may catch a video, a premiere, and then this live stream happening afterwards again. He knows me on Twitch though. Okay, Moses, I don't know who you are. He knows me on Twitch though. Well, now I want to know. Yeah, I don't love the buildings just kind of appearing without some sort of network. I kind of wish you could add like some pathing here to connect these. So I don't know, maybe that's something that we can control later, or we can at least move those buildings. So if I want them all on the road, who am I? That is the question. Nobody needs to know. I'm just a dude playing games. I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, or whatever that quote is. Let's see. So yeah, I put a couple of these in and just kind of talked about overall impressions on the game. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about these. I like the fact that I'm able to make bigger farms. Like, that's cool. That's gonna be cool kind of off in the distance. But I want more customization in terms of how I can control those growable buildings popping up, I think. This is another one of my favorite views here. You get a good idea of like what the interior of the town looks like. That's one of the signature buildings I place, which is why it kind of like stands out a little bit. I also like this view. You have some of your low income housing, you have a lot of your medium density, you have row housing in there, you've got commercial, you got offices, like, and industrial here in the foreground with some offices. Like, you got a lot of stuff placed in here. So you can imagine that the skyline will continue to develop vertically, and then I think I want to continue the city over here a little bit and expand. We just have this awkward hill here, but I just didn't really plan for that necessarily. So you do have some options at interchanges. I didn't really show off all the options, which was kind of goofy on my part, but I did have to like save up points to unlock it, which kind of threw off, but there you go. You have like your trumpets, you have a bunch of stuff in here that you can use. So I'm happy that this feels like there's more options, and I'm just more excited that they all look like they take up the amount of room they're supposed to take up, which is cool. So that's neato. Trying to think if there's anything else here that I need to cover. You guys have any other questions? Neato Cheeto. Indeed. Indeed. Obviously, y'all can post questions in the comments of the full length video. You can post questions and I will try to answer what I can. How do parks work? I think they work pretty similarly to what you'd expect. I don't remember the exact benefit they give, like, you know, what parks give what benefit. I covered them briefly. Do I highlight one where I can see what if it shows? unlocked maintenance building, then I unlocked the large park. Oh, I kind of clicked that very fast, didn't I? I want to say it boosts something like well-being in the area. Fredly. Lorenzo, what's up? I know that that's the thing. I'd have to check on the pollution thing. Most of my pollution, though, like city-wise, is going like north above the city. It's pushing away from the city. So how much are you looking forward to playing the full release? A lot. Moses, like, primarily because I'm sure that there will be updates between now and then of, you know, tweaks and things like that. And I feel like I'll be able to kind of venture a little bit further. Right now, I'm keeping myself somewhat limited in terms of what I've been doing, so that I don't go like I can talk a little bit better about some of the things I'm featuring in the videos, if that makes sense. So can we, I don't know that there's something to make your own parks, Ricky. That's what I was talking about earlier. I don't remember anything about districting a park. I'd have to go back and look. Because that's really all you need to do. Like, obviously you have pedestrian paths, so you can create a park. Does it have all the functionality like Parks DLC in Cities 1? I don't know that it has that yet. But there are pedestrian paths that are, you know, really clean. So did they fix the overuse of motorbikes? I still think there's a little bit of overuse of some vehicles. It seems like the little electric car and the motorbikes are pretty popular, David. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, they still seem a little popular. Yeah, so Ricky, you do have pedestrian paths. You can make your own. I just don't know if you can district them to make them an official park from the game's perspective. If you live in Wisconsin, there you go. There's a good look at like just a city, you know, a city street or so. Loving all the commercial like buildings. Some of them take up a little bit more room than others. I could probably put a row of trees in here. Clean that up a little bit. You can see there's just all these, there's like a little like shopping strip there. There's, you know, let's say that's a restaurant. Gas station is up here. Shop. This is a healthcare facility that I placed. Whatever that is, like a little convenience shop. Like there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, lots of mini cars. Yeah, I know people are gonna like people are gonna look at a lot of the motorbikes and mini cars. Those are gonna be the two most popular things probably. What is your least loved thing in CS2? Ooh. I was gonna put it in the video and I decided not to because it's still like TBD. I want more detailing options. One thing that I want the option to change is I would like to place fully grown trees instead of trees that grow. At least have that option. So while it's cool to see the evolution of the city, I want to be able to see like what I'm detailing and making pretty in its full effect versus having to like wait to see that. I just don't know if there's a big enough like payoff to doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. Hey Ed, how are you? It seems a little more controlled, Natalie. It seems a little more like if you place something and I think there's a high need for it, it's going to do that. But so far it seemed a little bit more paced. I have seen some vehicles roll out though. So yeah, it might be something like in that, David, that I just want a little bit more in terms of detail options. I want to be able to change some textures, but you know, again, I come from a very heavily modded gameplay style in Cities 1, so there's just things that I want to be able to control further that just aren't here yet in Cities 2. But yeah, Natalie, I feel like all the vehicles are pretty, all the service vehicles, stuff like that seem a little bit more paced, which is nice. Then again, I don't always pay attention to where they're going or what they're doing because I'm just flying around trying to make a video. Oh me. I feel like so much of my game time has been to get these videos done and prepped and all that stuff. You think you'll be more willing to try building a more realistic base city with SC2 than Cities 1? Oh, you mean like a oh, I'm gonna build a replica of New York? Hi, and to mention we speak English in the channel, dude. If you're able to translate, welcome in though. I don't know. I don't feel like I don't get excited about that. I get that puts more stress on me, I think, to create something. I think with this and where it's at right now, I think it's going to be harder because you don't have the asset library currently, you know. I see what you mean. The problem I think I would get stuck in is trying to replicate like on a one-to-one basis instead of trying to replicate as close as I can. That would be kind of a tough balance for me to strike. So I would very much rather just create my own stuff that may be inspired by something I've seen or something that's out there versus trying to create something that already exists. And I think there's gonna be a bunch of opportunity to create some, like, I mean, again, this game gives you a pretty robust starting point to making some big cities. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to figure that out. I'm also really excited to at some point figure out how to build cities that are like a couple of cities on the map that are sort of interconnected. You know, I want to get to a point where I have like a town over here and a town over here in different tiles that are connected. I think would be a lot of fun. That's not something obviously I've tried yet, so we'll see. Ricky, a little bit. I mean, there's the benefit that it's new. And I'm seeing a lot of, like, there's a lot of growable assets. Like, just in this view, you can see there's a good amount of stuff because you have a bunch of different zoning types. You have a lot more, like, and then you have different zone depths. So I could see, like, you know, if you want to create a city that's like downtown New York, like, you're going to lean on like this building a lot, right? But if you want to create something in Kentucky, like, you might rely on this building. And so that's going to be dependent on, okay, how deep are your zones? You know, how far, like, are you zoning 3 deep, 4 deep to get this look versus that look? Like, that's 6 deep right there. So there's a lot of variety in terms of the buildings that are placed and that you can put down. But yeah, it obviously doesn't ever take over for wanting to just to plop things down. But, you know, we're out here, we're trying, we're doing the things. I do, Fredley. I played a lot of Project Zomboid earlier this year, actually. Hey, Joy. How are you, friend? Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to mention. I don't think so. I think we covered it. If you guys have any questions, obviously let me know. You can obviously, if you think of something later, you can post in the comments of the video itself. If you haven't checked out the video, you should. So there's going to be 2 early access cities videos on the page now. One, I might change the colors so they match. I feel like I should have kept the colors the same, but you know, this is the life of doing YouTube. You're always second guessing every single thumbnail you make for eternity. But there's now going to be 2 early. Is there natural? Yes. Yeah, there are disasters in the game. I have them turned off for the purpose of the video, though. Like, to make it night or day. There is night and day. They're working on cleaning up some of the nighttime lighting. So I haven't featured it because it's like, it doesn't look as good as I think it will once it's cleaned up. But yeah, there is night and day. There's seasons as well. The seasons are a little bit more subtle than I expected them to be. Like there's going to be snow, you know, and stuff like that. And I know that at the very end of this video, like when I was done recording, I had the game open for like 2 or 3 minutes and it switched into winter and I saw like the color palette change. So it went from kind of like green, you know, fall to blue, which was, I was like, oh no, what happened? What did I do? Snow on the roads. Yeah, there's gonna be, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work. I know that there's still like some polish going into some of those things, Ricky. Then like nighttime lighting is still kind of getting worked on. So yeah, I've heard some people like, where's nighttime? And it's just like it's getting fixed up. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. Guys, Joy's someone else who has early access and made a video. I would highly recommend going to visit. They also put together the playlist that's in the description of the live video. And it's, I think, pinned as a comment on the not the live video, the video we just premiered. Yes. But guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. I think that's pretty much the vibe. So what can you expect? If you haven't subscribed, obviously hit the subscribe button. We're going to have another video coming out soon that'll be more early access into City Skylines 2 to further advance the city. There's a, I think there'll be some more photos coming out of this at some point as well. You think it'll probably, I think what I'm trying to decide if it's gonna be a build and learn series or we're just gonna do a vanilla build and just play with the game and kind of see how far it goes. I would like to be able to add in mods because I just, you know, want to try those out too, but at the same time I may need to do it vanilla to start out. We'll just see. We'll see what happens. Do both. Oh, okay. Just all this time. I got all this time. The next, thank you, Ricky, I appreciate it. The next build and learn video will be next week. This kind of threw off my scheduling because it was on a Wednesday. I was hoping it was gonna be on a Friday and it would just, you know, take in the place. I know some people are probably expecting another build and learn for Friday, but I think I'll probably post the schedule tomorrow. I'm gonna do the next build and learn for next week, and it's probably gonna be on suburbs. I think we're gonna like move into a different area because we've done a lot of industry. We've done three videos on industry. So that's the plan right now, is to kind of shift gears a little bit there. We need to start kind of like, I need to get to a point where I feel pretty good about what we've made and stop. Like I feel kind of all over the place, but we have some stuff I need to do between the downtown and the industry. That may be another video. Is just, I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that area is going to be called or what it is going to be, but we have to do something there at some point. So plenty of stuff to do. Plenty of stuff to do. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the stream. I appreciate it. Obviously go check out, there's a whole playlist of creators that made content. Go and check it out. Listen, but like occasional let's play. Yeah, I need to get better at the let's play side of it though, Moses. Like I kind of get in this world of like I just want to educate, and it's not always the route I want to be on. Like to build horrible vids for laughs? No, I think all my videos are pretty straightforward, a little bit more of a serious tone. Same with cities. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Go check out the Twitch. We'll be live tomorrow. We can answer more questions, talk about more Cities 2 tomorrow at 11 a.m. So 22 hours from now, we'll be live over there. And we'll also be live on Twitch on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, all times Eastern. And then, of course, if you haven't already, check out the gameplay video that I released at noon. Take care, everybody. I don't know how to do that yet, to be honest with you. So, unfortunately, no. Because I don't know how. I have no clue how to do that. I don't think it's possible. I thought they added a feature, but yeah, I don't know. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. See y'all soon.